And I ain't hit no drop in a minute. No, I'm about my business.
Rappers Guide Podcast, episode 55. This is your host, Diggy
Bailz Pagliacci.
And today we wanted to talk about why artists are selling off their masters.
The big sell-off.
What is your ideas on why they're doing it, and what would make a big name artist sell their masters when for so many years that was the topic at hand? Like, you got to own your masters. Why are people doing it?
I honestly think that, number one, a lot of artists have the leverage to do so. And within that leverage, able to get a nice cash value for their music. And number two is just like, it's like basically 0.0 cents per stream. And at this point, who knows what music is going to go to the next step? Like before we had physical copies, $10 is like the set point for like an album and things of that nature. Now we're under a cent. Who knows what music is going to be later on down the road with all these NFTs coming up and everything. So I think a lot of artists are just trying to capitalize and cash out at this point because they're not really sure what's going to happen in the future. That's what I would assume or think.
I think I agree with that. I think that with the amount of money that music is not making, I think it's hard to look toward the future and say, if I hold on to this, I'll make way more than this. I also think that a lot of these people, like there were newer artists that were doing it, but a lot of these people that are selling their masters, they're past their prime.
Yeah, like those legacy acts in a sense.
Like even The Dream went and he sold his masters, but it's like The Dream is never going to have a run like he did when we were in high school.
Because them shits was fire back then.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Shawty Is the Shit and all these different records. Like he's never going to have that same run.
I hear the falsetto in my head right now.
Falsetto. He had, what was the other one? I Love Your Girl. Like, bro, like he had all these smashes and he'll never hit that again. Because, for most people, like I think that people get careers fucked up because like they look at Drake and Drake has been dropping hit after hit for what feels like fucking all 20 years, but it's like 12 years, 14 years. So I think people get that fucked up and they go, no, everyone can have this 20-year career in the game. And it's like, that's just not true. Like for most people, you probably have like a 3 to 5 year span where you're going to be super successful. And then the rest of the time is just you kind of living off that.
Because you could think of so many artists that were like prevalent in our times, like around high school, like the 2010s era, 2015s, and like you come to now, it's like they're not as relevant and they're not really thought of as much. So if somebody came up to an opportunity like, yo, like we'll just buy your whole catalog for this set amount. And if you feel like that's kind of like the area where, honestly, if somebody just came up to me randomly, I need 50 mil for like, your catalog. Yeah, I'm gonna take that shit. I understand I deserve 50 mil, but if there's for artists, if the record label or the company feels if they can use something with it or utilize it in a better way than you can, and you don't feel like you're gonna continue to do music, then why not take the bag? And that's why I kind of think that's where that mindset comes at.
I also think that there's power in not necessarily having to gamble.
Facts.
There's hard cash in frnt of you. And this is unlike a label deal where you owe the money back. Like if they're buying your masters outright, that 400 million is yours. You know what I'm saying? And 400 million is a figure that I brought up because I think Neil Young.
Yeah, Neil Young.
Sold for, no, it was Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan sold for 400 mil, I think.
Yeah, I think Drake and fucking The Weeknd, they all get they're getting these big bags. Justin Timberlake just sold his shit like yesterday, I think, or like 2 days ago.
Okay, so these people are looking at the future of music. Now also, 40,000 to 60,000 tracks a day are coming out on Spotify, right? There's more music being processed right now. And that's all time that's taken away from these people who are basically living off their older albums, right? So like if new music is dropping every single week, then that means that that's time taken away from your album. They're going to go listen to the new Kendrick. They're not necessarily listening to Justin Timberlake's discography that day.
Yeah, that's
they
facts.
could be, but like chances are they're probably listening to the Kendrick album, trying to consume that all day. So if that time is being taken away from Kendrick and there are new drops literally every week, then you have to factor in that there's a lot of time going missing that you are not necessarily going to have to capture your audience.
And on top of it, I think it also comes from a standpoint of just on a label side of it. Like, even though music and streams don't really pay so well, like honestly, if you looked into it, like all these record companies in like their first quarter or like the second quarter of their earnings, they're actually making a lot of fucking profit some way, somehow, because they're at the same time they're distributing or providing all these artists with this money to buy all their shit, but yet they're still becoming profitable. So it's just like one of those points where it's just like, obviously they know what they're doing and they've been doing it for so many fucking years already that now at this point, it's just like, as an artist, even though we always wanted our masters, once you reach a certain point, it's like, they're going to be able to do something better with this. And let's just say you don't want to do music anymore and somebody gives you the 100 mil for your whole entire catalog. You can take that 100 million and invest into something else that you may actually really want to, put your money behind. And
you
I know
could potentially become a billionaire
exactly
off that $100
million. And it doesn't have to do with anything with music. It's like it's a business decision more so than it's more so like people like, oh, let me just keep my masters and let me keep my everything to myself.
Also, guys, I want to apologize. The light is like flickering.
I just noticed that too.
We're in the hood, like this type of shit happens.
I thought I was having a seizure or something.
but yeah, what you're saying is 100% facts. I think that if you're at a certain point in your career where like you're not a new artist in the game, I think that it makes total sense to take that 100 million to 400 million and run with it. You got to factor in that like your estate, like, do you have kids?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you have kids, you're just going to gamble that your music will feed them for the rest of their lives, or you're going to cash out when you're still alive, be able to negotiate good terms, and then be able to provide for them for generations. Like I think that factors in a lot when these people are selling their catalogs. And I think that they're also looking at the numbers. And, if you have a good like financial analyst in front of you, they might look at the next 10 years and be like, yeah, the way that the landscape is going, man, like you're going to make 25 million. They're offering you 4 times that or 10 times that just to take your catalog. There's potential that you can make more, but the likelihood of it happening, very slim.
Yeah, you got to take this deal, bro.
Right. I think they're pushing them to take that deal. Like, bro, take that deal, run with it, and just put the money into whatever you want to put it into. You can make way more money with that investment. You don't necessarily need to only make the money off your music. You're like, for the weekend, you're a fucking pop megastar. You can start doing films, getting paid like that, invest into different chains, all these different things that you could do where you don't have to necessarily focus anymore on just your music.
Because like even when you think about like, when we had Black Odyssey on and he was basically telling us how he was licensing his music for a set amount of time, whereas like they were technically doing like a 50-50 split. But after a certain time, everything goes back to him. So, within that time, if he blows up, which he will, within that time, at that point, 10, 20 years from now, they offering like a bunch of millions of dollars. Like, yo, I might as well just take it. I already kind of got comfortable in the sense of licensing out my my artwork as far as like letting the label use it in a certain way. Now, at this point, I can fully take advantage of everything, take everything off the table, and I can still create music and everything, but once again, I just got a big bag for my music right here, right now. That's the most important point of that. Because, we always say everybody wants to get their music heard and everybody wants to get their sound out. But at the end of the day, this is still a business and this is something that we're always trying to, gain money from. No matter how you want to try to switch it around and look at it, you're always going to do it to be able to provide for your family, especially if it's something that you love to do.
Also factor this in. You look at say you've been in the game for 10 years. How much have I banked over those 10 years? Did I make 25 million? Like, did I make 10 million over the past 10 years? Maybe I made $1 million a year, and that's successful as fuck. You're making $1 million a year, you're successful. But they're offering me 100 million. You feel me?
Yeah, I haven't.
I'm not going to live for 100 years.
Exactly.
I'm not going to live for 100 years. They're offering me, and obviously, when you die, they're still going to have access to marketing your stuff and using your stuff because now they own it. But like, I'm not going to live that 100 years that it would take me to make that amount of money. So what they're offering right now, that will feed my family. That's what I need. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the way that they're looking at it. And also, I want to point out that during the pandemic, you saw a lot of people selling their masters. There was a tax break to where they would normally be paying 37%, which is standard. They would have been paying 20%.
So
if they took it at that moment, because that tax break was only momentary.
So they still got more money on the back end, essentially.
Right. So like they would have had to give up millions and millions if they would have taken it at a later date. So that's why you saw people jumping to it, because they were like, yeah, let me take it when there's a 20% tax rather than double. You're going to lose a lot of money That 17%, that's important.
Cause when I got laid off at my job during the pandemic, it was like, yo, you can just go into your 401k and take the money out. And it's like, you're not gonna take the penalty that you normally get if you take it out before you're 65. So I was like, you know what the fuck I'm about to do? I'm about to go grab that shit. Cause I'm only paying like I believe it's only like 10% for the taxes. And the rest of the money just went directly to me. So it's like at that specific point in time, it was the best time to do it because I'm not going to take additional money away from me. And it's actually like me gaining something in a sense.
Right.
So that definitely does make sense within that as well. Because it don't seem like it's a lot, but when we talk about big figures and you talking about 37% compared to 20%, that's a lot of fucking money.
Right. Like when people look at 17%, they're thinking of like a 17% discount on like $100 item.
Yeah. That's,
you know what I mean? Like we're talking $100 million, $400 million. You're talking about losing millions.
Mm-hmm.
Like 40% of 400 million is a lot of millions. You know what I mean? To just give away. Especially when it's negotiated terms that are supposed to be in your pocket. You're paying taxes on all that because it's in whatever they negotiate, but it could be in a lump sum. You're giving away fucking 40%. 37% is practically 40%. You know, which is practically half of what you're gaining.
Exactly.
You feel me? So if there is a 17% decrease and you can do it immediately and you have to choose right now because you don't know when these tax breaks are going to be up, you might jump to it.
You also know what the fuck's going to happen during COVID, especially when everything was like paying like cents on the fucking dollar for them fucking streams.
Well, I think that they saw how fragile the music industry is. And that was another thing that factored in. They're looking at, okay, without touring, we don't make money.
Mm-hmm.
Without shows and without all these things, we don't make money. So like,
that should start setting in.
What if this is the new norm? What if touring goes away entirely and I don't have income? They're offering me a big bag right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm
going to take that because I was just shown in a fucking 2-year span how fragile this shit could be. That was an important thing to note about people doing it at that point. You know, I don't think people are still doing it as much, but they are still selling their masters. But that was a particular point in time where it was really important if you were going to get a big bag to sell your masters, because it's a couple different companies that are doing
they're
the buying.
Shit, yeah.
You know what I mean? And if they were offering you money at that time and you had that tax break, that was the moment.
Because I just read the shit, like the people who just bought Justin Timberlake shit. It's like an investment group called Blackstone. A lot of us probably have it like in our 401ks and have it somewhere along the line. But it's just like, it's crazy when you think about it that the actual, like I said, the music industry is actually profitable and that there's actually big backing investors that's behind it. And that's how they're willing to just be able to offer this set amount of money for specific artists for their body of work, knowing that later on down the road, you know, everything within licensing, within movies, getting your publishing and everything within these TV shows, commercials, that turns into big business for the label. And even though it feels like as an artist, you're missing out on that bag, you're still getting paid pretty much kind of like how we said, like within the royalties, like a prepayment for, you know, what they expected for your numbers to do or what you're able to do. It's kind of the same situation. And I think it's a little different than when, you know, like when Prince and Michael Jackson were signing those deals. I think they didn't really understand or have that much knowledge of what they were actually signing. Now, on the other hand, I feel like there's more like, okay, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm going for this bag and I'm going to invest it somewhere else.
Well, also forget just not having enough understanding of what they were signing. Like music was making you money back
then, yeah.
Like you were selling physical copies. So if you're selling physical copies and you know that I get $2 for every copy that sells and I'm selling platinum every album, then it'd be stupid to negotiate poor terms. And that's why they were getting fucked, because they actually had stuff to sell.
But they
were getting terms. They were getting $1 to $2 per album sold. Mm-hmm. And some of these dudes are going 4 times platinum, 10 times platinum. So if you're Michael Jackson and you're getting fucking $4 million or $5 million from just an album release, then you might want to keep your masters.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're putting out an album and 1,500 streams equals 1 album sale, and you know, I got to do 1 billion streams to even be like up there, right? You might turn around and be like, you know what? Give me a bag. Take the masters. It doesn't make me shit. You know what I mean? Like that is something that they were probably looking at too. You know, they're looking at that and saying, you know, it's not the way it used to be.
Like, it's definitely not.
And the music industry as a whole is not the way it used to be. These people are negotiating these deals with labels and they're getting loans and thinking that that's real money. And a lot of them aren't panning out. Some are getting shelved, you know, and for what? You know, so someone offers you money that they're not taking a percentage of. You don't have to pay back any of it. you go for it. And especially if, like we said earlier in the episode, if you're at a point where like you're not grossing that much anymore, where you would have to tour all the time in order to make this money. Some of these people are old, man. Like, not even to sound fucking like a dick, but like some of these people, like the Neil Youngs of the world, like these are older men. Like, yo, they know that touring brings in the most money. Some of these people just want to rest, bro. It's over, you know?
Because that was one of the things too. Like somebody had, I was watching some shit, and it's about Tina Turner. I know this is random, but they was basically like, you know, Tina Turner was basically saying, yo, I'm tired of fucking performing, and like people are looking at me. You guys are having fun, but I'm fucking up here working my ass off. I'm dancing, I'm fucking sweating, I'm doing all this fucking theatric shit. And this is a lot. It's taxing on my body, number one, and it's a lot for me to do. And it's just like, when you reach a certain age, it's like, yo, there's just a little bit much. I'm not doing that no more. Like, I'm just done with that shit. Yo, I just can't.
It's retirement, bro. Like, yo, and music's one of the only fields where you're never expected to retire.
Because you see all these people that come into like these, the lovers and friends, like these festivals that they have.
That's what I'm saying.
They haven't, yo, we got to get them all under one roof. And I'm sure that they're happy to perform because they probably haven't done it in a while and probably got some money for it.
Right, a lot of money.
But they probably don't really want to do it.
Some of them, you know, I think that there's some people that do want to be performing acts for the rest of their lives and they're comfortable with that. I think that there's other people that they feel like they put in their time and they're done. And there's nothing wrong with that either. That bag that you're getting from these investors, that's a fucking retirement fund.
Retirement fund.
You know, like it's a severance package. Like, yo, I'm done performing. Let me take as much money as I can get. And you could have these masters that I know what they make me.
Like at this point, I'm pretty sure like Drake is gonna fucking like gamble like probably like 100 million of that shit because that's like and
he's bugging the fuck out.
But there's certain things that definitely as well. I don't really promote that shit, but there is certain things like within you see him like within seeing him being part of that fucking gambling shit.
Well, you don't think that he got a bag from
he definitely got
casino?
Oh no, definitely he got a bag from
whatever casino he does that like online roulette with. They pay him,
and that's what I'm saying. Like when you artists are out there and you're watching these bigger name artists doing certain things, yeah, it's cool, it's lavish. You know. They're doing shit like you probably never thought people could do, but more so look at it more so in the business sense of like what is he actually doing and what is he trying to obtain from it, and what is it going to do for him and his brand. And that's kind of one of the things like people are like, yo, Drake is wild and he's betting too much. It's like I'm pretty sure he got a bag for it, and that money's probably secured some way somehow.
Bro,
who fucking knows?
Check this out. Like this is how this industry works, right? Yo, say he's betting through BetMGM.
Mm-hmm.
BetMGM might have given him the money to gamble just so, and he might have negotiated terms. If I win, this is how much I get. And this is how much I'll give back to you guys. You don't know the terms that he set up. So, yo, all these people that see him, that's the biggest promotion that those casinos and those betting brands can have. Is like the biggest artist in the world is gambling through our app. What do you think people are gonna do?
What are you waiting for?
They're gonna look at that roulette and they're gonna go, you know what? I'm gonna go gamble on that roulette table. He keeps winning. But you don't know that he has negotiated terms with that casino.
And that's how you just end up spending your money and not being able to pay it. And there's, no loss to him because it's not like he's really liable for what you do as your decision as a human being. Yeah. But, if you follow behind and you don't get the same outcome, it's on you at the end of the day.
But that is what's happening. You know what I mean? These people are definitely signing deals with these casinos so that they do get some percentage of the winnings. It's not like Drake is betting. And I might be wrong. He could have a gambling problem. I don't have undercover. Was wilding. I don't have undercover information, but I wouldn't believe it if they said, no, Drake is just going and gambling all his money away. I wouldn't believe that. I just wouldn't. I think that he definitely has a deal in place with the casino and they know that the promotion of that is lovely and that's what you're really trying to do when you're a brand. You're trying to get the biggest people to promote your product. They know Drake doing it is smart. They send him whatever amount of money. Here's $1 million. Gamble $1 million. Whatever you win, you could keep. We're just going to take back the $1 million. Why can't they do that?
Because that $1 million ends up just turning into probably like 10 million, depending on how many people fucking end up betting just by seeing him doing it. But that's what I'm saying. Like as an artist, you need to be watching these things because some of us still may be independent. Some of us may become silent later on down the road. You still want to be able to understand and pay attention to what everybody's doing. Not more so like a hating way, but how can you use somebody else's situation? How can you use that in your own way and try to kind of make it work better for you or make it work for you in the same way? Because at the end of the day, it's just marketing. It's literally just marketing. No matter how you look at it up and down, it's just marketing. And the same thing with these labels buying the masters from all these artists. All the other artists in the world are seeing this shit too. Like, yo, they just out here giving fucking people's millions of dollars. Let me see what the fuck I can get. it becomes marketing. So then it becomes a whole thing where people are just trying to basically see how much their work is worth. And it's like I said, the last person I seen was just a Timberlake. I'm pretty sure a week from now, somebody else that's a big artist or a big star is going to be fucking selling their masters away for a set amount of money.
Thing is, you have to be valuable.
Yeah, you definitely have to
like
be
as
valuable.
an artist, not just anyone could sell. Like we're talking to a bunch of people who are unsigned and
Yeah, we're talking about later down the
still
road.
figuring it out. You know, like we're not saying like if you put an album together, go and sell it. And I think that you wouldn't be able to find a bunch of young new artists, even popular ones, that are selling their masters.
No, I don't think so either.
Because it's not the time for it. Like you have to go a bunch of years and see what it's actually worth in order for anyone to even offer you money for your masters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the way that the music industry is working right now, all of this is extremely fragile. Even the streaming, like you don't know what's the next step.
NFTs.
You know, and everyone talks NFTs, but like that might not even be guaranteed.
Because that shit is dangerous within itself too.
Right. Like you can get that shit stolen and it's over.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the problem that has always existed with cryptocurrencies and blockchain is that if it's stolen, it's decentralized. So there's no one that can help you. Like you go and steal money from me. Like say you scam me and you get money from my bank account, I could hit up the bank and they'll give me the money back. With crypto and these NFTs, once it's stolen, bro, like you just don't have it anymore.
No, I thought they said that was more like it wasn't that it was more stolen. I think from on my perspective that it was more so because it's overvalued. Like you can't tell me like I could just fucking have an NFT of this fucking Dr. Dre thing. Like yo, it's $500,000, and if somebody's out there and they pay for it, then they pay for it. But at that point, that shit probably is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. Like how people say they're going to sell these albums, and it's like you don't know what they're potentially going to make, so you may buy it. It's like the same thing with the auction. You may buy it, but you may just end up getting jet for your money. Yeah.
There's set figures with like an album. Like we know that a stream in the United States makes X amount of money, and that's always going to count as that much money.
Yeah.
With this stuff, it's like there's no guaranteed money that it's worth. So yeah, but like a sneaker costs $5 to make, right? And they might resell a sneaker like a popular Jordan sneaker. They might resell for fucking $3,000.
Yeah, that should be crazy.
They just created that value. So I would say that applies to a lot of things where you can just like say that, you know, it's not worth anything. Like, yeah, sneakers aren't worth shit either, but there's sneakerheads that are spending ungodly amounts of money to acquire certain sneakers. So I think that could apply to anything.
Yeah, because in my head, I'm thinking like also like, yo, it's a physical copy of something, like not a physical, but like a physical shoe. But you know, people are buying fucking Nikes and fucking the metaverse. Like you can't wear them shit. So it's like,
right.
None of this.
Yeah. Like all of this, all the money in the world that is considered, like all the stuff that we value at this amount. Like why does a pair of Jordan 1s in Carolina blue, why does that cost so much more than any other pair of Jordan 1s or whatever? You know what I mean? Like it's just an idea that we all just like put together that shoe in particular is so sought after that it's valued at this. Wu-Tang sold a fucking artistic album that they put in this metal casing and everything. They sold it for $1 million. And it's the only copy.
That's fine. I mean, at that point, yeah, that makes more sense because, like, once again, to me, it's a physical thing.
I don't think that matters as much, though. Like the fact that they were able to just put the figure out, we're selling this for $1 million and it's one copy, and you can do whatever you want once you have it. Like that person, I think Martin Shkreli bought it, but like, if I wanted to, I could have bought that album. I could have got with a distribution company. I could have distributed that album and kept all the royalties and all that.
Oh, yeah, because it was an original piece of work, right?
It was one piece, yeah, original.
It wasn't like unreleased. It was like
it was unreleased. It was like one of one. No one's hearing this music.
Yeah, that is valuable. Yeah.
So you could take that and you could do whatever. But like, what if the album's bad? What if it's a horrible album?
That's
like
true.
The amount of art on it, like the metal casing and everything, doesn't mean anything at that point.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that's what it comes like the valuation. Like you could say like, you know, it's worth this amount, but like, is it really worth that amount when you go to try to resell it to somebody else? Are you really gonna get that same amount back? So I think that's like the issue with NFTs. But at this point, everybody's just getting as liquid cash as they can right now, and then they probably also using that liquid cash to also start some NFT startups. Because I see a lot of artists getting involved in trying to start some NFT startups some way somehow. So it's like that seems like that's where the future of music is going. At the same time, you know, we had a episode about that before. But at this time, I still think it's kind of premature, and people are just trying to force feed it and trying to get people hooked onto it.
Well, that's what happened.
Quickly.
That's what happened with cryptocurrencies too.
Like,
like you know, Bitcoin started where it started. ended where it ended, and now it kind of
Fluctuates all over the place.
you know, but at one point that was the hype. Like everyone was talking about, yo, you got to have Bitcoin. You got to have Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And then when people realize that you're supposed to use it as a currency and not just collect it, right? The only way for Bitcoin to work is for people to start using it as money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using it like a stock where you're just investing in it, but you never utilize it as money, then it'll never work. In order for NFTs to work in music, people have to want to trade NFTs.
Yeah.
You have to buy the NFT and you have to have the mentality that you're going to sell the NFT. But if you're just buying NFTs just to have them, like you would buy art for your wall,
Mm-hmm.
then NFTs go nowhere.
Yeah, but what's the point of that?
Right? The whole point is that you trade it. Like Web3 is all about trading. It's all about like a barter system. All of this is valued, right? So now I'm going to trade you my album, my Drake album, for your J. Cole album here. Or monetary, right? You're going to buy that from me for this amount. But if no one is doing that and everyone's just holding on to their art,
money don't go nowhere. It
doesn't go anywhere, and then it doesn't create value. Then it just becomes nothing.
And once again, that's like one of the things that artists at home should always be thinking about, you know, the future and also looking at what's happening presently. Like if you did not know that all these artists are selling off all of their rights and publishing of things of that nature, why don't you know that? Because that's something that's happening within your industry, the industry that you want to be in, the business that you want to be part of, that is happening all the time. Did you know that the fucking labels have been profitable? They're I think they rose like either 11 and 12%, I would think, within like the quarter one, which was Sony and Universal. You need to know these things.
I think that has a lot to do with the pandemic as well.
Yeah, it definitely has to do with like
I think
within the stream and everything.
I think that people who were unsigned and built a buzz during the pandemic realized that there wasn't much money in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then a label comes and offers money to them, and they're like, fuck this, you know? Because they weren't touring and they weren't doing all the things that we spoke about before. It's like, yo, if you came up at the time where there was no money involved, the second that someone comes up to you and says, yo, let me give you 150,
I'll take it.
You're going to take it because you're going to be like, yo, fam, like this shit's been a struggle.
Exactly.
You know? So I just think that like as an artist at home, you have to be paying attention to trends. And you have to be paying attention to moments in time where you can do this and you can do that. And you have to also look at what's next. And if the Web3 thing is next, you should be deep diving into the Web3 thing. And you should be really trying to figure out how that can work for your music. And that's the voyage of a successful artist.
Mm-hmm.
Like the voyage of a successful artist isn't, yo, I just make the music and I'll depend on other people to do that. Like this is all important to you as an artist. And if you're not trying to figure out the information that's going to create value for yourself, then it's hard to kind of rely on other people to do that for you.
Exactly.
Anyways, any last thoughts?
No, like I said, just make sure you guys are being attentive to what's going on around you. And also, if you are independent artists, yes, you haven't reached the heights of Justin Timberlake, The Weeknd, and Drake, but you just never know potentially where you may end up or the type of leverage that you may have as time goes on. And I know, one of the things that we always say is, it's good to be independent, but at the same time, we also always got to remember it's a struggle. It's hard. It's a lot falls on you. So within that, sometimes it could be okay to have a business partner in a sense, within a label or signing that deal, but also knowing that, if you just want to do music to get the bag and you're passionate about it, but you're also passionate about something else, take that money and leverage it. Shit, I don't think T-Pain sold his masters or anything like that, but he just fucking opened up a restaurant or some shit.
Last thing I want to say there. I just saw, how, like, I don't know if it's ESPN or The Score, but like one of these Instagram accounts will be like, where is this person now?
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about like an old NBA player or some shit, right? Like Jamal Mashburn, and this is the example I saw the other day. Jamal Mashburn played in the league, but he only had 6 good years because his knees were going out. But he took his money and he invested it, and he opened chains, and he purchased all this stuff, and now he's valued over $100 million from the money he got from the league.
Mm-hmm.
And he took that and he did other things. Do you think Jamal Mashburn wakes up and says, I don't want to own car dealerships. I want to play basketball.
Damn, I should have stayed in the league.
Right. It's like, yo, what we're doing here is we're creating wealth.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to work a job. Music is a job. We're here to create a career to then see what we can do to put ourselves in better financial positions at a later date. We all love the art. We all love the music. But like, you're setting yourself up for a career. So you have to treat it like a career. And if we're treating it like a career, you're looking at the opportunities that exist and you're taking whatever money is available. And if it's not in loan format, if it's not advanced payment of royalties that may or may not come, then you got to sit there and say, you know, what is best for me? Not best for my mentality about art and the landscape of music. What is best for me as a human being and my family and the people I provide for? If I make an album and that album goes platinum and I do get a big bag from touring and shit and I pay back all my royalties, and now I want to go independent, and now I have money constantly flowing in, I should be looking at car dealerships.
Yep.
And getting in and investing in all these new upstarts and stuff like that.
Because it's an investment portfolio at the end of the day. You know, and I just, you know, just speaking of that, you know, I'm thinking about Kendrick Lamar. He dropped just this album recently. And it's like, you know, now he's off TDE and now he started his own thing within PG Lang where they're going to do, it's music still, but they're trying to jump into more like video production and things of that nature. And it's just like, we probably not going to hear nothing from him for a minute or a while. He's probably just going to do little features or here and there. But it's like, for the most, from what I heard from that last album, it's like, I'm pretty much done with this music shit in a sense. It's like, I'm thinking about something different. I'm thinking about something that's a little bit higher than that.
He wants to level up.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, that's what we always looking for in life and not just within music, just trying to level up. Like, everybody says they want to do music for the rest of their life, but some people, you know, I think it's more things that you kind of love to do more so than music.
The richest rappers in the game, the richest producers in the game aren't working on music all the time.
Nope.
Dr. Dre, you don't hear music from him all the time. And he's one of the top guys. Jay-Z, you barely hear music from him.
You hear a verse here and there, but for the most part, you know, he's doing some business elsewhere, getting his money up.
And the only reason Jay-Z is still working on a verse here and there is because he has an undying love for music and for rapping. But outside of that, he understands that that's not the bag. He understands that him making another album is not the most lucrative decision he could make. So he goes and starts Rock Nation. How can Rock Nation expand? Okay, let's start managing sports.
Fucking sports, yeah.
Let's start managing actors and all these boxers. You know, like, he understands this is a rapper who was rapping in the 90s and beyond. This person understands this is not where the money is. So I have to go and I have to put money behind where the money is actually at. And here and there, I'll drop a song. It's not like Jay-Z doesn't love music anymore and that's why he's not working on music. It has nothing to do with that. He understands that he got into something that is a business decision and this is a career.
And that's what makes him a mogul. That's what makes Dr. Dre a mogul. That's what makes P. Diddy a mogul.
Right.
Because they just step outside of music. And when
Diddy has Revolt. Diddy has Ciroc. Diddy has all these different things that are all lucrative and these things all pay. And what you realize about the music industry, and this sounds disheartening, so I feel bad for the person at home listening to this and going, damn, I thought I was going to be a millionaire off rap. What you need to realize about all these things is that these things pay you without having to pay them back. You feel me? Like, you're creating these revenue streams like your job that once you make that money is yours.
Passive income, baby.
It's not just renegotiating deal after deal after deal to where, okay, we're going to give you $400 million this time, but we expect you to pay us back $400 million. It's that's a rough field.
Invest that shit into your own portfolio, mix that shit up, and fucking take that 400 mil to fucking 800. I don't fucking know. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's pretty much what I got.
All right, guys. Rappers Got Podcast, episode 55. We are signing out. It's Diggy Metro.
Bailz Pagliacci.
Peace out, guys.